Okay, it's on my left hand says 6:34, my right, they both say 6:34. I'll call the meeting to order at 6:34 p.m. Thank you all for coming. It's a pleasure to see you. We have a guest with us tonight, the Honorable Mr. Mark Sardella, man around town, supporter of the board for the Wakefield Daily Item, etc. So welcome, Mark. Good to see you. And as always, we will kick the meeting off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America
and to the
and to the
republic
republic
for
for
which
which
it
it
stands,
stands,
One
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and
and justice for all.
Yeah, thank you. Marion, whose sweater are you wearing tonight?
Las Vegas.
All right. So, one of the things we need to do tonight is we need to kind of get caught up on activities in November because we weren't able to post the meeting in November. We need to visit issues that were carried over. I'll try to cover that ever so briefly. As there were a couple of votes that we wanted to put forth. The pending one is for the officers for the Veterans Advisory Board. We had previously agreed that the officers of the board would serve for a 2-year term. There's no restriction on the consecutive nature of terms that can be served or length of consecutive terms, etc. So one of the things that the slate that we have put forth, I will defer to you folks whether you want to vote for them collectively or individually. We have myself continuing as the chair, Christy Yentl. Is it Yentl or Yentile? I should know that by now. I'll say Yentile.
Kyle, I think.
Yentile.
Yeah.
Serving as vice chair, and Rob Ettinger serving as the clerk. If it's okay with the members of this board, we will vote for the slate at one time. I will make a motion to elect myself as chair, Christy Yentile as vice chair, and Rob Ettinger as the clerk. Do we have a second? Seconded by Marion. All in favor, signify by wave or aye.
aye.
Opposed, hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you. Another item that we wanted to cover was, in October, we had agreed to serve as the local coordinator for Reefs Across America. I don't think we had any other votes on that regard in November for the November meeting. So that passes, we'll pass that forward to tonight. And the other item that I believe we voted on was to have Dave and Christy volunteered to move forward with a veterans discount, veterans benefit type of a program. We, I believe, had voted, wanted to vote to move that forward. So I will make a motion to move that Dave Mangan and Christy Yentile serve as the team leads for the veterans benefits, veterans discount program for the town of Wakefield. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Second by Melinda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you very much. And I think that, kind of moves us, past the things that we wanted to discuss in November. One of the things that came up over the last week, referring back to November, is I ran into a former member of the board, this board, and a member of the American Legion when my wife and I were out for our stroll. He was concerned about the fact that the American Legion wasn't contacted regarding Veterans Day activities in the town of Wakefield. And I let him know that, we were on orders, if you will, that we would not hold any formal ceremonies. It would be a virtual program, and that we had made the decision to go forward with a smaller program. We've got great support by WCAT, et cetera. And I apologized for the fact that, quite honestly, it never crossed my mind to reach out to them and just let them know where we were. Honestly, I kind of don't know who to reach out to, but I could have figured that out. So I apologize to a couple of members that I'm aware of the Legion who I'm able to contact. I apologize to them for the oversight. Certainly no malice or forethought. I honestly never thought about it, considering that we wanted to keep it small and not run afoul of CDC and state guidelines, et cetera. I think all in all, Veterans Day was, on the one hand, disappointing that we couldn't render the honors that we're more accustomed to. But on the other hand, I think that the members of this board and, members of the community that reached out, WCAT in particular, did a fantastic job under the circumstances. I think, it's certainly a mea culpa on my part, but as I said, no malice or forethought, and I've apologized to the folks that I could get in touch with. And, hopefully we're in a better place by Memorial Day. I, not being a betting man, I wouldn't bet on it. So we will probably, I'm anticipating we'll have to do something constructive for Memorial Day, and I will certainly remember to include the Legion and other bodies. Jackie, don't forget to unmute yourself. There you go.
Thank you, Jay. Do we have an SOP or a best practices checklist or anything like that for these events so that we don't miss these? I mean, is the VFW part of that? Are there other groups that we need to reach out to in advance so that, we don't have to keep this stuff in our head and we don't have to keep recreating the wheel? It's a dangerous thing, keeping things in our heads. Well, I know if you kept it in mind, it would be gone,
To be honest, we don't have SOPs. We do have agendas and things like that list the folks that have been involved in prior events. Wakefield does not have a VFW. I think, to be charitable, it has a skeletal American Legion, does not have a DAV that I'm aware of. Marion is a participant in the Council of Clubs, which I know they exist. I don't know much about them.
I can tell you about them. I'm the vice president.
Yeah. Certainly, go ahead.
The Council of the Clubs is made up of all the private clubs that are in town. The Elks, the Knights, the Three Cs, the West Side, and the American Legion. At one time when we had a VFW, the VFW was also a part of it. We used to, in the past, do a lot more than we can do now. We used to do the hockey banquets every year for the boys and then for the girls. But the most important thing we do every year is we do food baskets at Thanksgiving and Christmas for those that need it in Wakefield. We go through about 5 years ago now. I'm not sure when we presented it, but about 5 or 6 years ago, we started going to the VSO's office to get veterans' names, as well as we deal with the Salvation Army and the clubs themselves. If they know of anybody who is in need of a little help at Christmas and Thanksgiving, they also will give us names. And on the weekend, which it's coming up this weekend, we work with Market Basket in Woburn, who has been just absolutely wonderful with us. We give them how many baskets we need, and they supply everything we need for the baskets, as well as the turkey. On Sunday morning, we go down, we unload the truck, we fill the baskets, and we deliver them to all the different people. It's usually the Elks have their own people, but the Elks this year are not doing baskets. So it's just the council this year. So for the council, we have 43 baskets that we'll be delivering in Wakefield this year. So that's pretty much what the council is.
Marion, how do you get the names for the recipients of the baskets?
Some of the names have been on our list for years, and other than that, I contact your office, Dave, and any of them that I need get from there. We get names from the Salvation Army, and as I said, we put it out to all of our clubs, and sometimes we get names through them, people they happen to know, people that, and anybody that knows somebody that really needs the extra help, we ask them to just let us know so that we can get them on the list, get their information. Actually, Dennis Hogan and myself, we split the list every year and call the people to make sure that they want it, because some people do not. And some people want it at Christmas, not at Thanksgiving. So we do the calling twice, but that's mostly how we get names. And like I said, a good portion of the top of our list have been with us I've been doing this for 27 years, and some of them have been on that long. So
wow.
Did you have a comparable number at Thanksgiving, about 43 or whatever have you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, we had 41 at Thanksgiving, and we have a few more this time.
Mary, that same group that you gave the Thanksgiving baskets to through my office, the chapter 115, you could probably use that same list then.
Right. We do use that same list. I only will email and say, if you've got anybody to add, just let me know. And I do the same with the Salvation Army. And they're both very good about letting me know who they have. But pretty much everybody that we gave to at Thanksgiving, we'll be giving to it for Christmas as well.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you very much. I knew about the baskets, but I didn't understand the scope of it. So, Jackie, to get back to your original question, I think the formal documentation of what we do on Memorial Day and Veterans Day is probably confined to historical agendas, things like that. Right, wrong, or indifferent, we dust it off every year, reach out to the same people, and we've been very fortunate that the same people have been supporting our activities for years. But that certainly doesn't mean to say that we couldn't come up with something, more formal, if you will, especially if we intend to get more people involved in the logistical planning for these activities, which is my hope.
Jay, I thought Pam had a binder with a checklist in it at one point.
I'm not sure.
Pam Hart.
Yeah.
We'll see her in the coming days. I will ask, but I will certainly ask that. If it exists, we won't reinvent the wheel. Cool. Dave, VSO report?
Sure. VSO report, Veterans Advisory Board, December 15th. The food bank for Wakefield is tomorrow. The food pantry has donated dry goods to us. I got 18 bags of dry goods along with the Boston Food Bank donations. We now, however, have 22 on the list, where before we had 19. So it's starting to pick up a bit during these tough times. Tony Moy, the 96-year-old Wakefield resident who was a World War II veteran, was awarded the Congressional Gold Medal honoring Chinese American veterans on Wednesday, the 12th. I'm sorry, the 9th. The Wakefield item ran a front page photo of him, and I'm sure they're going to be running an article of the history of his service at some point. He's quite the hero in that respect. He was on the Vicksburg, USS Vicksburg, which ended up in Tokyo Harbor next to the USS Missouri during the signing of the end of the war. Okay, we currently have 14 recipients on the Chapter 115 program in Wakefield, with 2 more I'm in the process of getting on the system. But with COVID and a lot of these people, 2 of these people, they don't have all their records. They don't have the 214. They don't have the marriage license of the departed veteran, but we're working on getting that. I faxed over one of the reports. I wanted the searching for the 214 for one of the veterans. We've started the recertifications for the 115s. I've got 5 completed so far, so good. I don't know how good they are, but it's my first time doing it for the start of the year. Okay, so I did send a DD 214 request to National Personal Record Center, NPRC, for this particular veteran looking to put up his aging father on aid and attendance, as he was released recently from the hospital. We had a call this morning in the office that Don Emerald, a 91-year-old veteran, World War II, has passed away. I've been talking with his son-in-law this evening, and tomorrow I'll get a better connection on what's going to be going on with it. And Christy Yentl and I have started surveying the community for the veteran discount program and the businesses in town. As a matter of fact, we met at Brothers Saturday morning around 9:30, 10 o'clock. And I wasn't there 10 minutes and I sold them on the concept. And they were very happy to do it. They're going to do 10%. I've got a database going now, and we ended up getting as many as 20 businesses signed up for it. I ran out of the letters. I made some letters to give to them, along with what the whole intention of the campaign is. And everyone was very receptive to it. What I'd like to do going forward, once we get Albion Street done and Salem Street done, which will take place in the next 2 or 3 weeks, with this list I'm developing, if Mark, maybe the item might want to have something in the Veterans Corner that'll say what businesses are offering veteran discounts. We have a decal we'll put together that's going to go on the glass door of the entrance of the retail outlet. And what it will do, it'll say, we honor veterans. We give veteran discounts here. Absolutely. Everyone I've talked to always said, wow, where have you been? People ask for it now, and then I give it to them, but they didn't know that we gave it to them. Like Hardware gives it 10%. I think that's keeping up with Home Depot does the same. But a lot of the nail salons have jumped on board. The Wakefield Jewelers jumped on board. Some will actually be given 15%, and some will probably be given 5%. But by the time this is done, I hope to have an awareness raised in the community about how many veterans we have and how they play into our program. Yes, Marion.
Does that include Gold Star families or just veterans?
Yes, it does.
Okay,
it does. I actually have been making that known when I talk to them, because you have a veteran, you have an indicator of some sort from that. You have either a card or something of that nature. Because I was asked, how do we know if they're veterans? How do we know they're just coming in to get a discount? And I said, well, that's one of the requirements. They have to show either a military ID card, a disability card, or a family attached with the spouse, a Gold Star wife or spouse. That would be perfect. Yes.
Yep, they have got ID cards, so.
And-
Gold
Thank
Star
you.
wives, families, et cetera, have cards, Marion?
Pardon?
You folks have cards?
Yes, they get an ID card when they sign up.
Okay,
Hopefully they don't lose them. Well, they could get another one easy enough, but they all should have one.
And I'd like to recognize our Secret Santa that we have here on the board with us. Dan and Lois Benjamin donated 15 Shaw's gift cards towards the 115 recipients for Christmas. So that was just to you people. I didn't think Dan wanted to raise the flag on that. I just wanted to get the feeling of helping other people out. And Dan, great job, great job.
Dan.
Well, thank you.
Actually,
Thank you, Dan.
I did.
Thank
choose
you.
that.
And, you know, we don't come from a lot of money, but to us, this is priceless. I know all these veterans on Chapter 115 program have been fully vetted, and they really need this. And it makes me and my wife Lois very happy to do this.
One guy almost came to tears today, Dan. I told him Secret Santa has given you this little envelope. I gave him the envelope. He gave me this, no way. I says, yeah.
All I need is that beard with the white hair and everything.
Yeah.
all
But
right,
that being said, that's the total of the VSO report for this month.
all right, thanks, Dave. It appears that you had your report written down. To make it easier for Rob going forward to put the meeting minutes together, could you forward that to he and I via email?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, that's-
It's in my computer in the office. I'll do it tomorrow.
That's fine. You know, that's what we used to do on the Scholarship Foundation. The individual reporting units would forward their reports to the clerk, if you will. It made it just easier to put the minutes together. Awesome. Thank you very much. And Dan, you have a heart of gold, my friend. Same to Lois. Quick segue into Wreaths Across America. There she is, Miss America. Hi, Lois. Thank you very much.
What was it?
Wreaths Across America. Yesterday at 3 p.m., 39 boxes of wreaths containing 441 wreaths were delivered to Forest Glade Cemetery. 441 out of the 490 wreaths that were sponsored. So we exceeded the target by 60 wreaths. So as we kind of assumed coming into this year, and that's been reinforced by my contacts at Wreaths Across America, we will have 49 wreaths coming into the 2021 campaign. They carry any excess over what you report to them into next year. We reported 430 wreaths. We ended up getting 441, which is fine. I'm not going to complain because they will find a home. So if you went on the Wreaths Across America website, you would and looked for Forest Glade Cemetery, you probably would have noticed that a banner popped up, basically saying that this was kind of a closed ceremony. If you wanted any information, reach out to me. I didn't quite know that was going to happen, but it's all good. And that was with an eye towards trying to conform with CDC, state guidelines, Wakefield guidelines, et cetera. in that we were not going to go out and advertise for folks to come. And it was on all of our materials if you signed up, et cetera. Folks that have been doing this, probably know that it's a Saturday in December and can back into it. Bless you, Dave. And just like we saw on Memorial Day, folks know it's happening, folks will show up. I've had a few people reach out to me, and I've tried to be very consistent in my messaging to them, that we are not actively publicizing for volunteers to show up to participate. If people do show up, they will be expected to comply with CDC and other guidelines as far as masking, distancing, et cetera. I went on the website today and it looked like 13 people had put their names in somehow that I wasn't notified on. So Saturday at some time at noon, it's supposed to kick off at noon. I'm anticipating that there will be some number of people there. I had to sign a piece of paper saying that I would, within as much as I could control this activity, I would set the expectation that any and all participants would comply with the guidelines. And we'll just leave it at that. I would like to, sorry, Dave?
Will we have a notepad to take names and phone numbers?
Yeah, because good point. We're going to have to do it for contact tracing, et cetera.
Right.
So we'll have people sign in. Name and phone number is all we'll need. Because I went to a wake this morning and that's all they asked for was name and phone number. Some of the people that showed up were like in family bubbles, if you will. I've received a few emails from people that want to bring their kids. Again, family bubbles, we'll do the best we can. I did send one gentleman home very unhappy at Memorial Day because he told me he was not going to wear a mask and he went away mad. I was disappointed, but it is what it is. I'm going to wear a mask to protect him, and hopefully it provides me some protection too. We do have some people with compromised immune systems, and some of us are in a high-risk group to begin with, so we'll just go from there. One of the things that I would like to do is, from this board, find out how many people anticipate attending. I plan on being there. David will be there. Brian, all right, I'm going to go down the list. Rob, yes. Melinda?
Well, so I'm happy to come and help out if you think you'll need the help, but I don't want to take the spot from someone who, would want to do it.
In my opinion, for what it's worth, this is a very quick evolution, especially when we had more volunteers than we had wreaths a couple of years ago. It was done in a very few minutes. But I'm going to try to work with Mr. Fazio and have wreaths staged. I'm looking at this in two different buckets. We have the lower bowl and the upper pasture for veterans' graves. And I'm going to try to divvy up the boxes accordingly, have a little school circle, a little ceremony, divvy up the cast, and if we're moving slowly, it's going to be over in 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. So you're more than welcome. It's entirely up to you.
Okay, with the snow arriving into Thursday, some of the markers are underneath the snow. I don't know how we're going to find them.
Well, I mean, I hope we're fortunate. That raises another point that I don't want to get into with this second because I'll get us too far off into the weeds. Okay. you're right, some of those markers in the lower bowl, like south of Dan's father's, more towards Lowell Street, are kind of low to the ground. But my hope is that we won't get enough snow to cover them. And I went by at Forest Glade today. There are a number of graves that are already decorated, if not with wreaths.
Okay.
Families have already gone down there. You got something, Dan? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think what people have to realize is with the Wreaths Across America, this is for the town veterans lots, the older and the newer part.
Correct.
And some people thought that this was for the whole cemetery. This is the actual, in other words, the white marble stones that are there.
Correct.
And this is just the situation. Snow on Thursday. If it was the rest, looking for those bronze plates would be almost impossible to find all these people.
Right.
Maybe years from now we can do it, but
Yeah, I did have to answer a couple of queries from, I assume, citizens of Wakefield who were wondering why their dad's grave didn't get one, et cetera, et cetera. And I tried to explain as nicely as I could that the decorating is confined to the veterans' lots with the military issue, if you will, granite headstones. In the lower bowl, they are not the larger more conventional headstones. Mike not here. Paul, are you going to be down at Bourne?
I'm going to be down at Bourne. Yes, thank you.
Jackie?
I'll be there.
Marion?
I'll be there.
Sean, it's Sean. It's
I changed the name. Yeah, I'll be there.
is your daughter working on that on the sideline there?
My son took care of it for me.
Yeah, all right. Well, thank you. So, I'm going to reach out I reached out to Dennis, asking him what time we or I can be there Saturday morning. I'll certainly share any information, as far as divvying it up, et cetera, et cetera. His team put all the boxes in the garage so they won't be exposed to the snow, et cetera. So we're in good shape there. All right, cool. So the ceremony is supposed to start at noon. There's a script that could be read, et cetera, but we're not going to have color guards, et cetera. I think last year, Mr. Fazio said something for 2 minutes. I said something for 1 minute, and we went off and did it. I think it's a pretty powerful thing to be doing. As you may recall, the Boy Scouts spruced up the headstones this past summer for an Eagle Scout project. So a lot of them are clean and ready to go. And to touch on what was brought on earlier, I know some Eagle Scouts have done projects in other towns of actually elevating the headstones that have sunken down over generations. I'm going to reach out to the powers that be at the Scouts and see if that's something that they want to do, in addition to raising the bronze markers on other gravestones. Okay. Anything else on Wreaths Across America?
yeah, I just might add that with the snow coming probably Thursday, that this would be a great opportunity for somebody to go down there and take some pictures. And boy, does that make a beautiful Christmas card and honoring. And maybe Jack can come down with those tractor trailers out of Maine delivering all these.
Yeah. And if I may, I'd like to segue to Mark. Mark, I was going to send you an email tonight anyhow to ask you if you and or the item planned on being there Saturday. If not, we can certainly take photos and put something together to share. And you are muted.
I
There you
do plan
go.
on being there. I
You
do
plan
plan
on
on
being
being there.
there? All right, awesome. Thank you for all of your support. You know, some of the people that I've heard from want to bring their kids. You know, I think one of the things that Wreaths Across America is focused on is teaching. And it's teaching the younger generation about, you know,
Service.
their family, even if they don't have family members, you know, what this is all about, what veterans have done, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, to Dan's point, when you see the pictures of Arlington where this kind of all started, you know, and even we'll get some very good photos down at, well, we'll get good photos if I don't take them, down at Forest Glade. It's really powerful. And I just think that this is another example of, you know, where Wakefield is and where Wakefield, hopefully we can keep Wakefield going. The support for the veterans community. And we're pretty lucky to knock it out of the ballpark once again. So we'll have some things, again, I didn't want to put anything else on social media leading up to it for fear of having a crowd, but we'll have things out Saturday after we're done, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll see you all Saturday, if not before. Dan.
Could I just add one thing? And, you know, with the COVID-19 this year and last year, we did a lot of the Wreaths Across America at the Galvin School for Veterans Day. And that was our big, you know, segue into Wreaths Across America. This year, I didn't think we could make it, but I just want to thank Brian and the Wakefield item for putting that insert in the paper. And that went a long way, believe me, a long way.
Sure did.
And it shows is very involved in the community, and I appreciate that.
You know, that's one thing that, you know, since I've been involved or even recently, you know, the item has always been tremendously supportive of this board and the Scholarship Foundation board, which I just got off of. You know, we're very, very lucky to have a partner like that in Wakefield. And, you know, we'll talk about something in a future item about, you know, more activities with the item. But Brian, thank you for working with John. Was it John?
Yeah, I really, to be honest with you, I appreciate it, but I really didn't have a whole lot to do with that. It was John pinking at the item.
Yeah.
And he was very gracious about not only laying it out, being to have him inserted for no cost. So it wasn't my call at all, but they're great. No doubt about it.
Yeah, we're very, very lucky. All right, thanks again. The next item was to review the calendar for 2021. I didn't get it done. I will, but I wanted to get some input from the board. As I think I mentioned a few months ago, we've always met on the third Tuesday of the month at 6:30 p. Where that came from, I don't know. It could have been off a moving truck. It could have worked for people's schedules at some point. I don't think we're necessarily wedded to that. And it's especially while we're Zooming, you know, it can always change. So I guess we could put it to a vote. Do we want to continue 6:30 p on the third Tuesday of the month? That seem reasonable for everybody?
Yeah, to me.
Yes.
I'll make a motion that for at least the foreseeable future for the 2021 planning calendar, the Wakefield Veterans Advisory Board will meet on the third Tuesday of every month except July and August and/or other months as may be determined by a vote of the board as third Tuesday, 6:30 p. And do I have a second?
Second.
Dave, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. I'll look forward and project again, and I will try not to run afoul of religious holidays, school vacations where appropriate, etc. I'll share this list with the board, and then we can vote on it in January. Okay? The next item is a memorial inventory. I think Dan brought up the fact that Melinda's son and some of his colleagues did a memorial inventory for the town of Wakefield that the American Legion was tasked with doing. I think I'm aware. Oh, you know what? That bang you heard was something coming back into my mind. I reached out to Rabbi Greg, who is just a wonderful human being and very supportive of our board, just to get his approval of placing a wreath on the four chaplains memorial up at the temple. I wanted to be respectful of their property, etc. He put it before the board. It was unanimous, so we can place a wreath at the temple. We historically have put wreaths at 6 spots on the Common and Rockery. We have the Soldiers and Sailors large monument, World War II, the Women's Veterans Memorial, Vietnam and Korea, and the Rockery. And then we've done the Greenwood School. We've done the 5 memorials, the 4 memorials and the flagpole at Forest Glade Cemetery. And we've done Patty Heights, the Greenwood School, as I mentioned. So that's 13 wreaths that we place on Memorial Day. For wreaths across America, we also plan to include Colonel Connolly at the head of the lake, the Landrigan Field, and the 4 chaplains. Are you
Did you
aware?
say the AmeriCal Civic Center?
Paul actually brought that up, and we can certainly discuss it, but there isn't a memorial that I'm aware of outside of the building at the Civic Center. Dan, Dave, Fred, Mary.
Theo, just don't call me late for dinner. I'll take the wreath over Saturday to the temple. It's across the street from me.
Yep,
So make it easy for everybody.
that's fine, thank you. And before I forget, I retrieved all of the stands for the wreaths that we used at Memorial Day, so we can use them, reuse them at the memorials, but we won't have one for Colonel Connolly, Colonel Landrigan, or the 4 chaplains. Okay, those will just be placed.
I'll place them. You need some ties, some.
No, I think just like the graves at Forest Glade, just placed right against it. And I think the way that the wreath across America is envisioned is when you're placing the wreath, some folks say you recite the name of the person's grave that you were decorating. I've seen people pausing for a silent prayer at each one. I certainly leave that to the judgment of the person placing the wreath. Again, all right, so let's get back to the Civic Center. Any further discussion on the Civic Center? I mean, I'm not wedded either way. I mean, this isn't my world, and welcome to it. I'm unaware of any memorial outside of the Civic Center that we could decorate. And nor have I been looking at it when I've driven by it to see whether it is already decorated in some way. I will do that in the morning when I'm heading to Melrose. To me, it seems like it's kind of like the Galvin. You know, the Galvin has all the memorials and plaques, et cetera, in the hallway. The Civic Center has those in the main hallway also, but there's nothing outside on which to place a wreath. At the risk of getting myself in trouble, we may have an extra wreath to put there, and that's fine. So if we want to, we can do it.
Once we start, I think we're gonna have to continue.
Yeah, well, and I don't know what the price tag is on those Memorial Day wreaths, but they're not $15 like a Christmas tree.
We have Wakefield Memorial High School too, which
You hit
is
them up for the discount, don't worry.
veteran.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, you know, and I don't know what else you wanted to bring up as part of this discussion. I think we hit all the memorials, but you know, just like the 4 chaplains came up a couple of years ago, I had absolutely no idea that that was there, and I live right down the street. Melinda, if you know, I don't know if your son's list still exists, if we could cross-check lists.
Yeah, I remember Jeff ended up doing that project with Danny because I was going through radiation at the time. He did it with Bill. He met with him. I'll find out. I know that there was an electronic copy, so I'll get it and see. And then they updated the database live on the website. That was part of the project.
You know, awesome. If you wouldn't mind, for the good of the group, you can share that, and we'll send that out to the group.
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you. Anything else on memorial inventory? Hearing nothing, we'll continue. Oh, Marion.
If there is an extra wreath, you know, after we do the Civic Center, if there is an extra wreath, I would like it if I could to put it at Joseph Elivere's bench down by the
lake, yeah.
by the lake.
Good point by
If that's
you.
possible. If
Good
it's
point by
possible.
you.
It's something you wouldn't have to add at Memorial Day, because every Memorial Day I go down and decorate his bench. So, but
No,
it would be nice if you have it.
Yeah, when on my walkabout, I went around, checked in all the flags, things like that, and I know that I straightened up stuff down at his bench. Good point by you. Thank you very much. Because I don't think his dad's not in town anymore, right?
No, he's there in Florida.
Yeah, God bless him. God bless him. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
David, do you have anything else on the Veteran Support Discount Program?
No, I covered it. If you know of any of the businesses I might be missing, email me and I'll stop in and see them and give them one of the letters. But we're gonna try and hit everyone on Albion Street, both sides, down by the Salem Street as well, down to the bowling alley and past that.
Have you finalized your logo?
No, yeah, basically we have. I like the one we have on the letterhead.
Yeah.
That goes to it's in the kitchen. You want me to get it?
No, that's okay. I'll share what you have with the group.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
cool. And then we can go forward, and maybe for the December Veterans Corner, we can make that part of it. Okay.
Good.
Ultimately, maybe we include a listing of the businesses that have signed up. And, you know, oh, by the way, if your business isn't on this list, please feel free to call us.
Exactly. I was offered, Barbara Worley had contacted me and has offered me a segment at WCAT once a month for about 20 minutes to have the veteran call-in program where I could bring something with me and maybe do an interview. Like I'd like to interview Tony Moy on the TV with his son. His son has already agreed to show up and come with them because I guess his sight is not that good right now. But he'd love to tell the story, I'm sure. And once a month, I had a little segment. That'd be good.
Well, you know, again, WCAT has been a tremendous partner moving forward. You know, when I got down there on Veterans Day, Ian and Brian were already set up, and the light dawned on Marblehead, and I forgot my coat and had to run away, but that's okay too. All right, so segueing into the Veterans Corner. We had a discussion last month. I'm going to bring down the volume in case Mother Superior accuses me of yelling again. We had discussed last month about putting content in the item, if you will, and we can also put it on social media, something called Veterans Corner. Again, no magic in the name. We can change it. We can make it whatever we want. And as David said, we'll put, there's 100 things that you could think of putting in there, whether it's some of the benefits programs that we have, what the board does in general, or specifically benefits programs, et cetera, et cetera. Let's talk about Gulf War illness briefly. Let's talk about, Agent Orange, Camp Lejeune water, whatever have you. Anything and everything is up for discussion. Put together a monthly bit. I think we have a confirmation from Bob Burgess down at the item that it would be run on page 4, where other like items have been put. We can create a banner. We can create it. Bob said he'd help us. I reached out to Jen McDonald at the town hall for her technical expertise about putting something together. I don't know if you can see this. I couldn't figure out how to get some of this done, but my thought was, we have the bandstand, something said Veterans Corner, flag background. Brian brought up the seals of the services. We can argue about whether we include the Space Force or not. That's a thought for another day. Putting a banner together that these articles or notes, whatever have you, would appear below the banner. We could have a byline by the individual that put it together. We could have it from the Veterans Advisory Board. We could have it from the VSO office. We can do whatever we want. Once again, the item is open and willing to do just about anything that we'd like with it that's legal. So when I get some mock-ups back from Jen, I will certainly share them with the board. We can vote on it. Does this sound like a reasonable, does it sound like what we discussed in the past?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Would we want to start this Veterans Corner in January then?
Well, I think, even if we wanted to commit to the item, let's take a number off a moving truck. Let's say the third, at some day, whenever they have space, they usually have space on page 4. At some day during X week of the month, we will submit content for them to publish.
As Dan said, maybe a photograph of the Forest Glade Cemetery after the wreaths are on them, with a little thank you to the community for contributing and helping us raise the funding for doing that.
Yeah, but that'll go out on December 19th.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
I was just thinking about possibly having a mission statement if we have one on there.
yep, absolutely. Yeah, and that could be the first one, you know what I mean? The first one, hey, Wakefield, do you know that you have a Veterans Advisory Board? These are the folks that are on the board. The mission of the Veterans Advisory Board is X. And if you have any questions, concerns, comments, do you know that the Veteran Service Officer is at the McCarthy Senior Center on Converse Street? Here's his name and phone number. That can be the first one, right out in the block.
I'm gonna give them your number.
I'm sorry?
I'm gonna give them your phone number.
No, that's fine.
I'm
That's
kidding, I'm
fine.
kidding, I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
No, I mean, we're all in this,
All do it together, that's right,
we're a district,
that's right, that's right.
and Brian,
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'd be in favor of putting something in December, even if we didn't have the banner, so to speak, just to start the process. And you
Yeah.
could use it, all the things you mentioned, and you might also have an opportunity there to talk about the discount program even within that. And there'll be space for it, I'm sure of that. So however you want to do it with the mission statement and other things that are going on, but I think it'd be good to start the process and then build into the banner, because you probably won't have artwork, before we meet to vote on it in January, right?
Yeah. All
We
right.
might have pictures from the weekend.
Yeah.
We can
Right.
include.
Brian, that's a good idea because it'll also make the retailer who might be reading it, when I walk in the door to sell them the program, they're going to jump on it right away, even more so. You know?
Well, I think I mentioned the discount program in vague generalities in November, I think. But now, to Brian's point, we can put something in there in the next week plus after we do Wreaths Across America. Thank you for Wreaths Across America. And oh, by the way, bing, bang, boom, like we just talked about. Do you know that we have a board? Yada, yada, yada. Here's our mission statement. And, I believe we came up with a mission statement. I'll unearth it somewhere in all this paper that I have. We can share things among the board as long as we're including that veteran advisory board email. As long as we're not voting on things, etc. That's how I understand our open meeting requirements. So if we're sharing business type activities amongst the board, we need to include that email address, and we can do that. I'll take that as an action item between snow blowing on Thursday.
Hey, Jay, another item would be the 2 articles that were passed at town meeting.
Yep.
And the content is already written for that. It would just be making veterans aware of what that is here in the state.
Yeah. I was having discussions with the assessor's office in Saugus today about that. The Saugus is going to have it in front of their town meeting, but they don't know when the town meeting is going to be.
I don't think you're going to be restricted to space at all. So you could almost do the thank you for the Wreaths Across America as a letter to the editor forum submission.
Yep.
On one day, and then a couple of days later, go ahead and run, the other things among the things that Paul just mentioned as well, and do that. We'll have Mark's pictures from the from the Wreaths themselves Saturday. So, we can. I don't think we have to fit everything into one day necessarily. We'll get some options, and certainly I'm sure they'll make rooms.
Yep. Okay. Sounds good. But one of the things that we should do is, well, I'm going to make a recommendation. We need to kind of coordinate these activities instead of having 2, 4, 6, 8, 12 of us sending stuff and possibly being redundant. Jesus, Jackie, what is that?
Maine Coon cat.
She does this when I'm on Zoom for work, for any church, anything. She's always right here. Sorry about that.
That was awesome.
That was fun.
So we'll just coordinate these activities. I can certainly have something ready to go Monday for the letters to the editor on Wreaths Across America. That's a no-brainer. Then we can work on the other stuff that I'll share with the board. Okay. Any other business? Dan?
Okay, what I'd like to do is, and I think I've talked to you before about it, is some project on the Veterans Field. And I've started a little research on it. And we have the Veterans Field that sits down there. As a kid, I used to watch softball games down there. They had granite steps out in center field, which they took away, I don't know when, many years ago. But as it is, it's called Veterans Field, yet there's no monument or anything that states it's Veterans Field. And what I'd like to do is start a little project, maybe get a monument put up there, something small with a flagpole, and maybe something like the 5 services logos, maybe on the fence or something. but to get something started that we can really call it Veterans Field. And I've researched it back to 1934. They started on it. It was a WPA project. And I think it was in the annual report in 1935 that they opened it up. But originally it was supposed to be a playground, a ball field, and a tennis court. And believe it or not, an ice skating rink. But what we have there today, and I'd like to start something going to get that done as far as a monument of some
Well,
kind.
you know what? That's an awesome idea. There's already a flagpole there. And if you've ever played center field, you know why the granite steps are not there anymore. But we do,
Ouch.
we do have a checkoff on the tax bills for memorials. And we could work with our good friend down in Everett, now I'm forgetting his name, who did the Women's Veterans Memorial on the Common. He's been very supportive. So that's a great idea. And also an excellent Eagle Scout project. But maybe we'll want to do this sooner rather than later, but that's a couple of things that I'll reach out to the Scout leaders on: unearthing the bronze markers, raising the veterans' headstones. And one of the two things that I had been thinking of is it the Merriam Street Bridge that goes over the railroad tracks? That's not named in honor of anyone or anything. We could have a naming project. I'm unaware of any other bridges. There's the one going over 93 that they just rebuilt. And we could probably build a bridge over Broadway and have it open before the opens up the crossing.
What's with that? That's horrible.
Sorry. But that's a great idea. Thank you, Dan. And, your research will be an awesome part of it, because that's the story behind the story, as Paul Harvey used to say. That's great.
Surprisingly, there's very little, anything that you can come up on that project, the Veterans Field. Like I said, the only thing I found it in was 1934 and 35, the annual reports. And maybe I can go to Eric Reed or something, he can come up with it, but if you know Eric. Yeah, I'd like to see something there. And I know you say a flagpole's already there, but it's kind of an older flagpole. I'd like to see something, a newer flagpole with the light shining on it, so they could be lit up all during the day and night.
And that certainly, I mean, we are a project team, whatever, can scope out the project if we move forward. Awesome. That's a great idea. Thank you very much. Anything else? Any other business for the good of the group? Once, twice, sold. So thank you, one and all, for your participation. A lot of good input, a lot of good feedback, a lot of good participation. Mark, anything else for the good of the group before we sign off?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks one and all. I'll see some or all of you on Saturday. If I have any more logistical input on anything that's needed for Saturday, I'll certainly share it.
Okay.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you, Jay. Thanks all.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.